Hello, dear friends. We will continue our lectures of environmental evolutionary biology because in evolution, environment and biotic life plays a key role that we have seen in our all previous lectures. Right now, we will see about fossils, how the fossils are formed, what are the types of fossils, how they imprint the historic events. That we will see everything from definition to the all processes. So 3.2 fossils definition, process of fossilization and evidences. So fossil, the remains or impression of a prehistoric plant or animal embedded in a rock and preserved in terrified form belonging to a past epoch or discarded system antiquated. So process of fossilization includes the preservation either in rock or mud or lava, whatever the material. Even in soil it can be imprinted. So for preservation to take place, rapid burial after death in a substance that protects the organism from destruction by scavengers and weathering is needed, and the most common substance in some heavy silt or mud, and burial will occur more frequently in water than on land and in colder areas than in warm ones. But other substances can serve as well, and some of the best fossils are formed in amber, which is a fossil formed from resin, particularly small insects which probably got stuck in the resin and could not free themselves, and they are found in amber. So some very well preserved remains of woolly mammoths and rhinoceroses from the Pleistocene age have been found frozen in Siberia. Volcanic ash also can create good conditions for preservation, but even when rapidly buried, the soft parts of an organism decomposes, and in most cases only the hard part remain. Shells, which are inorganic in nature, are usually preserved completely unaltered. Bones and wood, on other hand, are often mineralized, commonly referred to as terrified. That is, the free spaces in the tissues are impregnated with mineral substances carried by groundwater. In other cases, the totality of the plant or animal structure is destroyed, leaving an empty space that nevertheless faithfully reflects the exterior aspects of the dead organisms, and such a fossil is mold. If the space is subsequently filled by foreign substance, then is a cast. Means if the space is not filled by the material, we can call it as a mold. And if the space is subsequently filled by the foreign substance, then it is called as cast. Means we can call it as a solid fossil. After burial, the fossil may be very much altered, and the commonest type of alteration is flattening due to pressure, as more and more layers of sediments are piled on top of the bed containing the fossils. Sorry. The bed may be further altered by folding or lateral movements. Eventually, it has to be uncovered by erosion if we are to get possession of the fossil, and it might be further damaged. In this process, some fossils have been exposed in the past and reburied. Consequently, the changes of recovering an intact specimen are very rare, particularly with specimens of great age. So this one is the flow chart by which a process of fossilization is trying to show uh, the pros and cons both are shown here. For example, the dinosaur dies. If they die, they quick buried in mud, sand, etc. encases body in sediment. So if yes, then do conditions exist in which the fossilization, recrystallization and or permineralization process can occur. So this is a question mark. but this involves the temperature, pressure, acidity, chemical composition of the sediment, moisture levels, etc. And if no dinosaur is eaten or rot and no fossil is formed, or the dead body of the dinosaurs is eaten up by the scavengers, either fox, dog, and likewise. And if yes, then this is the second possibility. After the second possibility, if no dinosaurs rot and no fossil is formed, or if they were not rot and no fossil is formed, then second possibility is that yes, and water infused with mineral seeps into the bones, and over time the original bones decay and are slowly replaced by rock like minerals, or one mineral is replaced by another, or empty spaces are filled up with minerals. So and fossils are formed. So as we have seen in our last slide, that either they are formed in the form of cast or mold, means if the spaces in the specimen either is filled or empty. These are the only two probabilities. So next one, types of fossils. What type of different fossils are formed in the previous era? So as far as the classification is concerned, we can chalk out them into the following heads. Number one, actual remains. As now we have seen the bones of the dinosaurs. These are the actual remains of the prehistoric animals. So these are the original remains of the organisms and buried and embedded in a soft sedimentation, and there had been no change in the constituting material. The fossils of mammoths and woolly rhinoceros, wool forming rhinoceros, are obtained from Siberia and Alaska, which were found in frozen ice. Actually, they are not wool forming, but woolly means they are soft rhinoceros, soft skinned animals, woolly rhinoceros. So another means of preservation of the animal is umber, a fossil resin from pineapple tree, especially Picea succinifera. This is the plant, scientific name of the pineapple tree. And these resins, which when first exuded, are sufficiently soft to engulf a fragile insect, but later through evaporation of more volatile portions become hardened and finally change to umber without the slightest injury to the most delicate details of the insect anatomy. About 2000 species, chiefly of insects but also of crustaceans and spiders, are thus preserved in these Oligocene umbers, means umber resins exuded in the Oligocene period. And during that Oligocene period, whatever the animals or insects were present there, they were formed as a evidence for the fossil in the umber. The then these are Oligocene umbers are called as Baltic umbers. It is found along the Baltic coast of Samland in Germany, therefore it is called as Baltic umber. So these are the pictures of these fossils of various animals. So fossil of arrow-headed amphibian, this is arrow-headed amphibian called as Diplodocus. This might be in Permian period. So this is so old. So fossil of Triassic nautiloids, ammonites, and surviving nautiloids. Nautiloids are also present right now, but these are the prehistoric animals. They were buried and formed fossils, and therefore we have got these evidences that they were there since long in the Permian period. So this one is the print of frog or fossil of frog in a Jurassic period. Second is terrified fossils. The less permanent parts of animal and plant body, such as soft tissues, muscles, etc., are preserved by replacement of the original tissues with minerals, molecules, molecule by molecules. The replacement minerals might be calcium carbonate, silica, iron, pyrites, malachite, or sulfur, etc. And the replacement is molecule by molecule, and so nice that not only the external form but the histologic characters of the original structure are well preserved. For example, a terrified muscle fiber and kidneys from the ancient Devonian shark. This is called as cladosilage shark in the family, and some 30 crore or more years old was so well preserved that not only not only the individual fibers but their cross striations could be seen in thin sections under microscope. And woody tissues, the limy shells of mollusks and calcareous skeletons of the corals. So these are the hard part of the animals and plants. Woody tissues, limy shells of mollusks and calcareous skeleton of the corals, and certain sponges are apt to replaced by silica and giving a perfect replica of the original form, though not in minute structure, in a totally different substance, thus forming what are technically called pseudomorph, means not original but pseudomorph. Pseudo means false, or we can say wrong. So pseudomorph in which the original line of the Silurian chain, Silurian is the old period, Silurian chain coral has been replaced by silica. So the corals were replaced by silica because the silica deposition is there. Number 3, molds and cast. So this is the mold and this is cast. So these are the two pictures, we can say. Another group of fossils are natural molds in which neither the material nor the minute structure is preserved. It's called as molds. These are formed by hardening of the surrounding material in which the organism was buried, followed by the decay and subsequent removal of the organic material. By percolating water, thus leaving a cavity which remains the exact form of original. Thus, soft animals like jellyfishes, wings of insects, and leaves are usually preserved in this way. Sometimes the mold becomes filled with some other mineral matter and which subsequently hardens to form a perfect cast of the organism, and it thus exhibits the external form only and not the internal details. So these are called as casts. So this cast cannot give the internal details, but mold can give you the internal details because they are externally packed in the natural environmental media, either lava or soil or sediment of mud or like whatever it may be. So they preserve the internal body materials. Here the internal body material is not preserved. So these are the two different types. So we will see the next in the next period, lecture number 17. Right now we will have a stop break here.